What's up guys, SparringCat, and in today's Battlecats video, I'm ranking the best anti-red unit in each rarity, going from normal to legend rare. And I also have an honorable mentions tier here, and that's for the two units that have failed to be the best of their own rarity, but there are 3 units in that tier, not 2, and they are very good against red, but they not make the cut. And stay tuned for the explanations and everything as well, and I'll break down why each of these units deserve to be the best in their rarity. And starting things off is going to be normal Island Cat. And Island Cat, I'm going to give a B in terms of effectiveness against red enemies. And the reason that Island Cat doesn't rank higher is because of Manic Island Cat, which just completely outclasses it, but still an effective anti-red unit. Doesn't take away its stats or anything like that, and just strong and spammable and pretty cheap. So all around solid anti-red unit. And in terms of anti-red normals, that term is kind of like a graveyard. You have Jamera, which is capable of knocking back most traits, and you have Dark Cat. So not a whole lot of competition for Island Cat, and Island Cat gets a nomination pretty easily. But moving on to the specials, it's going to be Dark Laser, who I think is better than Island Cat. Most people do. And it's for good reason, because Dark Laser has high DPS against 2 traits, red and black. Is strong against it, so also takes less damage. Has a wave talent, which is incredibly useful in terms of crowd control and everything, which also gives it competition against Pizza Cat, and is quite spammable and pretty affordable. So one advice I would give is bring it into the right stage, because there's times where mixed stages obliterate Dark Laser. There's times where very money tight stages obliterate laser, because you can't send out more lasers. And be wary of those stipulations, because laser is situational at times, and I don't think laser is as reliable as Pizza Cat against black enemies. But against red enemies, there's a lot less competition in the special trait and the special rarity, and that gives Dark Laser the edge over its competition. And moving on from Dark Laser is going to be Courier right here. And Courier, if you've been under a rock for the last year or so, Courier is destroying the anti-red meta. I mean, Courier's obliterated it. It's power creeped it. And yeah, Courier, very, very high DPS. Not just for the cost, but in general. Massive damage is it's the catalyst behind that. And on top of that, as I mentioned, long range, and also very spammable, very cheap, and just a force to be reckoned with. This is like long range anti-red Casagizo. I mean, it's an awakening for the anti-red meta. And you know, there's a lot of good crowd controllers against red in the rare category. You know, you have cats like Pirate Cat and stuff, but I just can't put Pirate Cat on the same list as Courier. You know, Courier is manhandling red enemies left and right. So Courier is an S in terms of effectiveness against red. I think that's self-explanatory. And moving on to the first honorable mention, ICAT. And ICAT doesn't make the cut here. And the only reason ICAT doesn't really make the cut is because the cat that will make the cut on this list has a much rarer niche than ICAT. ICAT has freeze and does an amazing job at freezing red enemies. Does exactly what's supposed to. A great unit, but I do think it's the second best anti-red super rare, and the best is going to go to Rocat. And the reason I give Rocat the nod over ICAT, a bit of a controversial decision, but the reason I do is because Ro is very, very tanky. And at level 50 with max fruits, which is what I'm going off of with all the stats here, all of them have the same requirement of level 50 in all fruits, but 513,000 health against red enemies, and that's before the weaken. After the weaken, 1,026,000 health. Over 1 million health from a super rare spammable meat shield. And against red enemies, incredible unit. But you have to be wary of mixed stages, because non-red enemies are going to obliterate it if you use it incorrectly. So bring it into the right stages, and use combos if you'd like to as well to decrease recharge or whatever you might need. And the second honorable mention on the list is going to be the aforementioned Manic Island, and Manic Island is cheaper than the normal counterpart, faster than the normal counterpart, and just better, more spammable, great stats against this niche, good generalist, even a small chance of a critical hit to get you out of a pinch if you forget to bring a critical hitter in and a metal hippo comes out or something. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you, but just a very, very solid unit, and I thought he wasn't first or second on the list, but he's very popular, and I wanted to at least give him credit. Now we're getting into the doozies here, and this was a really easy decision for me. Pi Pi, putting her in S tier and putting her as the front runner of the Uber Rares set. And at level 50, we're talking over 38,000 DPS with area attack against red enemies, and we're also talking over 529,000 effective health. So, insanely tough and massive damage. I mean, what else are you looking for? Absolute powerhouse, and even if it only had one of those two traits there, still would have been an incredible anti-red unit. And the fact it has both absolutely breaks the game. And I know you clicked the thumbnail and saw Pi Pi on it and knew, all right, Sparring Cat at least knows what he's talking about this time. You know, he put a good unit on the thumbnail, a unit that's going to be on the list. And yeah, Pi Pi, there's very little debate about this. If you want to debate about it, leave it down below in the comment section. And I'm sure that some viewers or myself will kind of giggle at it because Pi Pi is ridiculous. And the last honorable mention on the list, falling just short, well, not just short, Izanagi is much better than Headmistress Jean. But Headmistress Jean is good in different situations, and her area attack and everything, it makes her unique, and that combined with huge amounts of damage and everything, so definitely not a bad unit, long range as well. So if you have Headmistress Jean, she is a great anti-red unit, and she's just great. And in general, she's great. I believe she's great against all those traits, just a bunch of traits. So keep that in mind. Headmistress Jean, if you have her, definitely pat yourself on the back. I put her in S tier. She would be an S tier, but she's an honorable mention. And Izanagi is going to get S tier. And I'm just going to move him over here if I don't mind. There we go. And, geez, where do I start with him? So, over 120,000 freaking DPS. 120,000 DPS against traded enemies. What the? All right. You know what? I got to be monetized and everything. I got to stay monetized. But, holy cow. 120,000 DPS. And if that wasn't enough, it attacks different ranges. It's like Nala, so, you know, hits close, then middle, then far. That type of attack, the Conjured Spirit is a knockback, and on top of that, 4.33 seconds slow. But there's a caveat, and the caveat is single target and multi-hit. But even if it hits one of its shots on an enemy, that's 40,000 DPS. And this unit doesn't just get flung around. It's not just a kamikaze attacker. 200,000 health, so it's pretty decent survivability and everything, coupled with 120.4 thousand DPS. I can't get over that. 120.4 thousand DPS. I think I'm losing my brain cells reading that, because a tenth of that would have been great. A 20th of it would have been all right. 120.4 thousand DPS at level 50 with fruits. How do you explain that? All right, I know there's people that might think Jean should have been on that list or whatever, but if you guys think that 120,000 DPS deserves second place to, a long-range unit who is fantastic, by the way, but 120.4 thousand DPS, come on. I know the multi-hit and the single target messes things up, but 120.4 thousand DPS. But before I go on a whole rant about how good Izanagi is, let me take a deep breath, and you know what? Maybe I shouldn't rant. I don't want to be divisive. But if you guys enjoyed this video, or anyways, here's my ranking, so I should say that first. Here's my rankings from S to B. I didn't put any tiers under that. I don't think any of these units are worse than a B tier. They're the best of their own rarities. But if you guys enjoyed this video, learned anything, just please leave it down below what you guys took from this. And if you enjoyed the video, which I really hope you did, consider liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you never miss an upload. and you'll also greatly help grow our channel. And it's very appreciated. We passed over 1,100 subscribers, so that's very good. And if you made it this far, much thanks. Really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed. But anyways, guys, SpartanCat signing off. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace!